Hello, hello, hello. Yesterday we had a very exciting video where I opened up the new I opened up a car, the Silverado, which turned out to be some very lovely gifts from longtime series or channel fan Waterflame. But the notes that were left with these gifts somewhat confused me with their use of plurals and such. And it turns out there was a reason for that. Another box was waiting for me today, once again addressed to Stephen, the Yuri connoisseur. So I am very excited to see what the follow-up gift may be. My birthday is tomorrow, so this kind of countdown of hype is it's pretty great. So far, I've had a pretty great birthday week. Last weekend, I went to Toronto. There's a little party. Tomorrow, there's gonna be another party, and then best of all, after the party tomorrow, I have absolutely no plans for the rest of the weekend, which means that hopefully I'll get to make a lot of videos, get to a lot of other things that I've been putting off. And here we have, seems like another book, and another wonderful Amazon gift bag, which I've accumulated, a few here and there throughout the run of the channel. I've been able to re-gift the bags, like I've been able to use them as bags for other gifts, which is handy. So yeah, thanks for that. A bonus gift for sure. The card, I assume, says the same thing as the other ones. Yes, all cards say the same thing. Right, right. Ooh, oh man, I was just thinking, I think this is out, and here it is. Volume 2 of the localization of this very unique comic within Yuri. Definitely one for Yuri connoisseurs only, for people who are willing to get the big sad with their Yuri. It isn't happy, fluffy times. It isn't the sort of thing we normally encounter in these mediums of kind of fantasy and escapism and kind of an idealized look at relationships. No, this is all very, very, very real. The story of the author as she overcomes a lot of mental distress, really touchingly illustrated with pretty minimalistic art, but ones that like are really focused on the emotional response of the it's crazy. It's like the sort of thing that it's like big international success and its critical acclaim and it's wide sales and stuff. It's like the triumph of the characters and the triumph of the author are contained within the fact that you're reading the book, which is very beautiful and sort of reassuring. But as the series continues, you see that like just succeeding at something like this, although it may seem like a cure-all, like it may seem like your depression would just evaporate now that you've quote unquote made it, you learn that really it's a lot more complicated than that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I really hope that eventually these books conclude happily. So far, it's been a real rough roller coaster, but yeah. So if you don't know, the idea of the solo exchange diary is there's a wonderful tradition in Japan of having an exchange diary with a friend, where basically you swap it back and forth, and each of you writes an entry, and then you read the previous entry and write some more. It's a really lovely idea. And the idea here, though, of course, is that she's doing a solo exchange diary, that she's not exchanging it with anyone, but just her own thoughts piling up and piling up. As someone who journals a lot, who has filled many physical books and has spammed text endlessly into other large documents, I really can relate to the idea of wanting a solo exchange diary. a place that feels very private and confessional, and yet you kind of write with an expectation of an other. There's a lot of interesting theory around the idea of like the big audience other, that you write or you create things or whatever, you tweet, you record videos, with kind of like a vague conception of an audience in your mind, um, that you kind of think you're being watched, even if functionally you don't really consciously kind of change your writing because of that, and realistically you don't really expect anyone to be reading it. There's still kind of a different mode that you get into when you do things kind of with the perspective of an audience in mind. So I don't know. It's like these sort of books are interesting if you not like. Of course, they're very moving and powerful if you allow yourself to kind of bleed into the character and try to experience what she's experiencing. And I think that's like the primary and most important way to encounter media like this. But then taking like a step back and taking a more of a psychological look at the characters and thinking, why is it that people behave these ways? Like, why is it that these sort of anxieties manifest? And then how do these forms of self-expression reflect that? Like, how are these things therapeutic in ways? How are these things perhaps damaging in other ways? Like just that kind of constant debate of when you write about how you're feeling, are you exacerbating those feelings by kind of like cementing them into reality and dwelling on them? Or are you able to overcome the feelings because you're getting them out there and you're getting them away from yourself and you're making something of them, and then you're not clinging to them just entirely within your head? That to me is an extremely interesting question, and one that I think probably just varies from person to person, or even from experience to experience. But it's something that you think that I think you might be able to kind of glean from the work itself, whether it's a work that drags you back into it, or whether it's a work that comes off of you and lightens you. So yeah, a really fantastic series. We read a little bit of it on the channel, but I think it's maybe a bit too heavy. It's a bit too heavy and a bit too real for me to kind of want to talk about with the regular format and structure that I would a video like this. Um, Maybe at some point, and I've said a lot of times that I want to do things like this, but maybe at some point we'll do kind of like a series retrospective once I've finished reading it, or like a volume by volume retrospective or something like that. I just kind of want, like, for something like this, because it is so personal and because it's like a real human being, I feel like I don't want to just say things off the cuff and kind of without thinking, because not that I expect the author will ever watch these videos or anything, but I still feel like, it's not just a character. It's not just me saying things about a fictional plot. It's someone's real life, and I don't know. It's like I never want to feel like I'm being callous. I never want to feel like I'm being unsympathetic. So I think it would be better if I kind of spent more time and really structured my thoughts around it. Anyways, yeah, so thank you to Waterflame for sending me one really goofy but deep down heartwarming and real book, and one extremely depressing book that actually does have a few goofy moments. Two excellent additions to my manga collection. I'm looking forward to reading them. Both of these go beyond what I've read before. Like they go beyond Scanlation, and they of course have the latest volumes. So brand new manga. That's quite an exciting thing for me, and something I don't really encounter that often is just holding a volume of manga in my hand and being like, I haven't read this, like I haven't already seen this on the computer. I haven't already watched some other adaptation or something. I just have no idea what's going to happen. I'm flipping through here, but I'm not really parsing it. Aha. All right, great. As always, I'm just blown away by the fact that it like works, that I just keep making these videos and then people send me stuff in the mail. Like, holy crap. I'm just some guy wearing a hat that says cosplay. So the fact that people are spending their hard-earned money on me is very humbling and kind of mind-blowing, but I'm incredibly grateful and I'm incredibly happy. It's been a really good birthday so far. I think the good times will continue, and this is just a wonderful cherry on top of all of that. So yeah, yeah. All right, I think that's all I have to say. I already said a bunch of other stuff in the last video, so. Alright, see ya!